For this week's project, we're going to be creating a portrait. A portrait is a picture of a person. Now, I'm using a Sharpie. You should start off with a pencil. The only reason I'm using a Sharpie is because it shows up better on camera. The strategy that I always recommend is thinking about what shapes can you use to represent the different features. So I start off with sort of like an oval for the head, almost like a flattened oval for my body. It's like rectangles for legs, ovals for my shoes. You might think of it as rectangles for your arms. A hand might start off with a circle and then little ovals or small rectangles for each finger. But think about all the details that you want to add and think about what shapes can represent those features. Make sure you give yourself eyes, nose, mouth. In this case, I'm going to add my glasses because that's an accessory that is always on me, so it felt like it was an important thing to add to my picture. When you add hair, a very common mistake I see from students is they put a shape on top of their head, but really your hair is covering the top of your head and growing outside of the top of your head. So it should go a little bit bigger than that initial oval that I had, and it covers the top of it. After I've drawn myself, I think about where am I going to be. So I might draw myself playing outside in the yard and draw my house in the background. You can draw yourself wherever you'd like to be. It doesn't even have to be realistic. If you want to draw yourself standing on the moon, you can do that. If you want to be drawing yourself playing a game like soccer, or if you want to be playing basketball and have a basketball hoop in the background and a ball bouncing out of your hands, that's fine too. Wherever you want to be, but think about using the full space on your page. After you've sketched everything out, and again, I drew it using a marker only because it shows up better on camera. You should plan your design with pencil first. But after you've drawn everything out, then you're going to color. And since we're in remote learning right now, you're going to have your choice of materials to color with. I know we're all in different situations. We all have different things available to us at home. If you want to use markers, crayons, colored pencils, anything you want to use, whatever you're most comfortable with, is totally fine. Okay? But please do take your time to color your picture with something. Even if you're shading it in with your pencil and have some light shapes and some dark shapes and some medium shapes just by shading it with your pencil, that's fine too. But please do take the time to color it in some way. One thing I also want to point out, as I'm coloring my background, I am coloring the entire paper, the sky, all the way down until it touches the ground. A very common mistake I see from students is they draw just a stripe of blue at the top and a stripe of green at the bottom with a whole bunch of white space in between. The way I think of the sky is the atmosphere. It is the air that we are breathing. It is not like a blue shell that goes around the earth. It just looks blue because of the way that the light scatters through the air. But the sky really is the atmosphere. It's the air we breathe. It does come all the way down to the ground. And so I want to make sure that I take my time to color the sky all the way down until it touches the ground at what we call the horizon line in the picture. As you're coloring, take your time. Color a little bit at a time. A bit of advice I would give you is pay attention to what part of your body is moving as you color. You want to make small movements so your hand and your wrist are moving. If you feel your whole arm moving across the paper, you're making too big of movements. It's going to look a little bit scribbly. It's not going to be your neatest work. So take your time and color little bits at a time, making small movements with the smaller muscles in your hands and your wrist. This is a fine motor activity using the small muscles in your hand and your wrist. You don't want to have your whole arm moving across the paper, or it's going to look a little bit sloppier. It's going to be a little bit less neat. Another thing you can consider doing is layering colors. If you're using crayons, you can layer one on top of another to sort of shade it. You can see in the ground that I used a little bit of a blue near the horizon on top of the green of the grass. As I color my sun, I started off with a little bit of yellow, and then I layered a little bit of orange onto there. But again, those are my personal choices. Those are not requirements. They're just different ways of working with the materials for you to consider. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Remember, you can put a little bit of your personality into it. Show your interest. Show yourself doing something fun and exciting, whether it's something you really do or something you'd like to do one day, like go to Mars. Anything you want to do, make it your best.